All right, what's going on, everyone? My name is Matthew Johnson, and in today's video, I'm going to be going over the five worst B2B, I had to put up four fingers, the five worst B2B funnel mistakes and how to fix them, and why 90% of B2B funnels leak revenue and exactly how to fix it, right? Now, before I go any further, just again, brief introduction. My name is Matthew Johnson. I have been in lead gen for over 3 years at this point, close to 4 years. I've specialized in helping B2B service-based businesses scale their client acquisition. And that extends to agencies, SaaS, the whole nine yards, right? I started off by offering Upwork as a lead generation service. I've signed multiple deals valued at over hundreds of thousands of dollars in LTV across 20 to 30 plus clients, specifically for Upwork. And in my most recent role as a CMO, I worked at an Amazon agency. We basically serviced e-commerce clients that do upwards of seven figures per year, and I was able to triple their business. So they went from 15 clients to roughly 45 plus clients, and this doesn't include churned clients. So the actual figure could be somewhere north of 60 to 70 clients that we actually got for them, essentially tripling their business and adding over 1.5 million in estimated LTV. So that's what I've done, and that's why you should listen to me. Now, moving on, there are four main problems that every agency or B2B company faces. To be honest, this could extend to any type of business, but specifically for this example, let's keep it there. So one, they don't get enough leads. Two, nobody knows about them or their business, their service. Their leads aren't qualified is three. And number four, there's no way to monetize unqualified leads. Now, every single business, as I mentioned, suffers from either one or all of these issues at once. And that's what prevents them from scaling and eventually, of course, exiting that business. Now, this is the funnel that fixes these problems. So this is the 1000x leads funnel. This is a funnel that was not created by me. It was created by Matthew Larson, who is a prominent YouTuber on this side of the internet. I would definitely recommend you check him out. I've worked with him before, and we still work with each other to this day. I've used this funnel that he's coined in order to get results for that Amazon agency and any of my other clients. So this is the funnel that fixes these problems. And this is also a funnel that I can build for you for your B2B service-based company, your agency, whatever it is. Yeah. Moving on. If you're interested in me building that out for you, by the way, you can check the link in the description. So let's get into the video. Now, there are five, I keep saying four, five funnel leaks that are killing your pipeline, right? One is you only have a single offer and there's a single entry point. So there's only one thing to buy and there's no path for prospects that aren't necessarily ready to buy that offer. Typically, this offer is a recurring offer, right? Secondly, you have one traffic source, right? Or as I like to call it, one traffic source syndrome. So you're just relying on one source of traffic, exactly as it sounds. So whether it be just referrals, your LinkedIn, your YouTube, your partnerships, you're only relying on one method of client acquisition. And this poses many problems that I'm going to go over later on in this document, right? Three, you have no lead magnets or you have very weak nurture. Well, it's one thing to get the call and then it's another thing to convert the call or to convert the lead, right? Which is the importance of lead magnets, or that's where that comes up. But again, talk about that a bit further down. There are no conversion mechanisms. So there's no system to qualify the prospects. So that ties into one of the four problems being that your leads are unqualified. And then lastly is you have a leaky landing page or a broken CRM, which directly interferes with your bottom of funnel, right? So get acquainted with all five of these problems. And if you're making even one of these mistakes, then you're leaving a lot of money on the table, especially if you're making all five of them. Then regardless of how well your business is performing now, I mean, this should be good news. If you're making all five of these mistakes and your business is still performing well, that means that there is that much of an improvement that can happen, right? So I'll show you how to fix all of these. So number one, we're talking about the single offer, single entry point issue. Now, the issue is that if you're only selling a high ticket done for you retainer, and that can span anywhere from 5 to 10K plus, there's no opportunity for prospects who either aren't at that level to spend that much money yet, or they just don't trust you enough to spend that much. There's no real method for them to be monetized, right? And especially if your qualification parameters are much stricter than the average agencies, then you're going to find that 90% of your visitors are unqualified to buy right now. And I'll give you an example with the Amazon agency. Now, for our done for you services, we typically only wanted to speak with brands that are doing a minimum of 7 figures per year, right? So if they were doing less than 1 mil per year, then the client prior to meeting me just wouldn't sell them anything. Like there would be no opportunity for them to monetize those brands that are doing high 6 figures because they simply did not want to work with them, right? And you can see how this will pose a problem after a while. If 90% of your market is unqualified, and let's say for argument's sake that you have already partnered with 10% of the market, then what becomes of the business? It just doesn't grow from that point. And you can see where the issue is, right? You're essentially telling 90% of your market that you should come back when you're ready, right? And that might be never, because some people want to be able to quote unquote sample the service first or sample the product first before they end up committing to a long-term relationship with you. And this holds true not only with B2B companies or agencies, but also with SaaS, right? Software as a service. That's why trials still work so well even now. And it's a primary method of client acquisition. And, it works incredibly well because people want to be able to test the tool first before they decide that, hey, this is something I'm going to make part of my tech stack long term, right? The issue is that they won't come back, especially after they've realized that, hey, I don't want your business because you don't qualify for this and I have no intention of working with you. This can send the wrong message, right? They'll find someone else who has something they can buy today and then commit to their services after sampling their product and/or service, right? This kills revenue because 90% of traffic churns out with $0 spent. You can't monetize not yet or not a fit prospects, right? Competitors capture your warm traffic. They have lower ticket offers to start the relationship. And that's what I was referring to earlier. Once someone buys from you once, I believe the statistic is somewhere north of 50% more. They're more likely to buy from you. They're 50% more likely to buy from you or something like that. I might have skewed the numbers a bit, but the study is there. They're 50% or so more likely to buy from you once they bought from you once. So even if you were supposed to just sell something for $7, the fact that they've inputted their credit card details and have made the purchase means that they've made the commitment and they're willing to do it again, right? Because they wouldn't have to do it again. You could just charge their card from there with their permission, right? So less friction, the easier it is, especially if the product is good and they now trust you and your work for the future. There's no way to test trust before a big commitment. So exactly what I mentioned earlier, if you have a lower ticket product or offer to start with, they'd be able to trust or test your services and develop that trust organically with you, which will then later allow them to buy something more higher ticket from you. And then the fourth reason why this kills revenue is that every unmonetized visitor is wasted. So wasted ad spend and effort on traffic that leaves you completely empty-handed. In any given market, only 3% are ready to buy your main offer right now. So what becomes of the other 97%? This is the issue. And this is exactly why you need to have these other measures ready. All right, so I'll continue from there. You need to build a 6 offer suite. So the offer ladder, which is from bottom to top. So you need affiliate commissions. You need a paid product. You need a course. You need a program or mastermind. You need a one-time service. And then, of course, everybody has their recurring done for you retainer. So this way, at every segment of the market, there is something available for them to buy or for them to be monetized in some way. So for complete beginners who just want to learn from your lead magnets and learn from whatever it is you're doing so that they can eventually start something similar to you, you have affiliate links. So when they sign up for, let's use landing page agencies as an example, when they sign up for Webflow, you get a recurring affiliate commission of 10% for the next 24 months, 24 months, right? Or in perpetuity, meaning forever, as long as they're signed up. So this way, even for those who aren't making any revenue right now, you're still able to monetize them. Next up is your paid product, right? For those who prefer, all they have right now is time. Again, using the landing page agency, all they have right now is time. And again, they haven't gotten to the point where they're able to afford your one-time service or your recurring done for you retainer. Maybe that's CRO. They'd buy the paid product, which is anywhere between $47 and $97. In the case of landing page agencies, they would buy landing page templates, which they can then use and do it themselves, right? Courses, very similar. You'd be able to train, they'd be able to get training, and you can also use this for training on your team or their team, right? Not everybody wants to necessarily work with you with a done with you or done for you capacity, right? Some people just prefer to do it themselves, and that's why you have a course. It's not only monetary in nature. Some people just much prefer to do these things by themselves, and you have to have an offer for those types of people, right? I'm sure there are lots of people watching this now that are of the same opinion. Program/mastermind. This again is for those people more done with you. I don't necessarily want to work with you on a done for you basis. I'm quite capable. My team and I are quite capable of doing this as long as we get a bit of hand holding from you, right? So program and mastermind. This one-time service is more productized. So I can do this entire thing for you one-off. But it's only, yes, it's one-off. I can, whether I use AI, whether I use templates that I've already pre-built, and I can send these over to you. Again, in the case of a landing page agency, I can build 3 pages for you for the price of $3K, and those pages are yours. That's whatever it is. You like those pages, then I can upsell you to CRO, which is my done for you retainer, right? So this way, you have 6 different offers with 6 different ideal prospects in mind that can be monetized at every point in the funnel, right? This way, you're maximizing revenue. So the one-time service acts as a paid trial where prospects can test your work before committing to a retainer. And this dramatically increases your conversion rates. So that should solve the issue of only having one offer and not being able to monetize the other 97% of the market or 90% of the market. And if you want to know how to route prospects to the right offer, then you ask these intake questions, which is, what's your annual revenue? What's your business model? Are you ready to buy now or just researching? What's your biggest challenge? These are questions that you can ask to qualify them. And then based on their answers, you can redirect them to your main lander, your lander for the one-time offer, your lead magnet stuffed with affiliate links, your paid product, your courses and programs. This is how you do it. As I mentioned before. This is just a follow-up to this. By the way, if you want this document, I'm going to leave it linked in the description of the video. So feel free to grab that for completely free. Yeah. So the benefits of doing this is that you have more entry points. You have a faster time to cash. You have higher lifetime value per visitor. And your revenue stream stack, right? So you have your referral fees, you have your affiliate income coming in, you have your course sales and retainers. And this is going to make your business more marketable and higher value if you ever decide to sell the business, right? This is how you eventually get to the point where your business becomes valuable and you're able to sell it by doing stuff like this. So if you're driving 1K visitors per month and only 3% convert to your main offer, that's 30 clients. But if you monetize the other 97% with lower ticket offers, you could add 20 to 50K a month in additional revenue. And that's the math behind having these additional offers. So if there's anything that you can do right now, it would be to build out these offers in order to generate more revenue for yourself. It's a quick and easy, well, not easy, but it's a simple fix. Mistake number 2 is one traffic source syndrome. Now, typically people only rely on one traffic source because it works for them. And yes, in the case of referrals, getting referrals means that your service is good, right? Essentially. That's what getting referrals means, that whatever it is that your offers or your services, you're doing well and people are willing to refer their friends and their trusted colleagues to you, and you get more business that way. That's not necessarily a bad thing. But there's a ceiling. There are only so many people in that person's network. Eventually, it maxes out, and you can't scale past this without other systems. So referral marketing is just not sustainable. You will get to a point where that friend of yours who has referred so many people to you will eventually run out completely of people to refer to you, right? And if that cycle doesn't continue, especially if you aren't proficient in referral marketing, then eventually you will run out of leads. The well will dry up, so to speak. Metaphorical well, of course. So you'll have an inconsistent and unpredictable lead flow. So this makes planning completely impossible. Projections for revenue and for quarters, completely impossible. Cold close rates will stay low. So there's no trust built and prospects are going to be very skeptical of you. Because if you are only aware or are able to close warm traffic, which means that these people are already aware of you, then you're going to be losing hundreds of thousands, if not millions, on cold traffic that you just wouldn't be able to convert. Third, you can't forecast revenue, right? So I mentioned earlier, you have inconsistent, unpredictable lead flow. That means you don't know exactly how you can't project, right? You don't know what's going to happen in the future, and then you can't plan or hire accordingly. Now, one change kills you overnight. So let's say in the case of, let's say all of your traffic comes from Facebook ads. Like the Andromeda update, which is the most recent one, let's say that made things go completely all right for you. That means that all of your lead flow is just dried up because one thing messed everything up, right? Your one traffic source is now gone. So what, your business is just done with now? You can understand why this is just a huge issue for you to only have one traffic source. And then you get desperate when your leads dry up. And prospects can smell this, right? It's like they sniff this out. When you get desperate, you're also more likely to take on nightmare clients. And when you take on nightmare clients, then you lose both money and time in dealing with these clients, right? It's an unpleasant experience. Everyone has been there before. So something that might be the hidden cost. So when you don't have enough leads, you lower your prices to close deals, and this attracts worse clients and hurts your margins. It's going to hurt your team as well because these clients typically tend to be needier and more obnoxious to deal with. So there are many byproducts of having only one traffic source, right? So the fix is to have 4 traffic systems all deployed simultaneously. Now you need content, you need outreach, you need partnerships, and you need paid ads. And I went over all of these in my last video on the 4 traffic systems. I'll leave a link to that video in the description and you should see it on the screen somewhere. So yeah, go ahead and watch that video to understand why you need all four of these systems and the benefits of having all four of these. I'll just briefly go over them, but you need YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, newsletters, TikTok, the whole 9 yards for your content systems. You need to have outreach systems in the form of cold email, cold DMs, and manual prospecting. Manual prospecting is essentially, as it sounds, you go out, you don't use any tools or anything, and you speak to people, your ICP ideally, every day, foster those conversations and a relationship, and then eventually sell them on something. Partnerships, which can be referrals, media partnerships, joint venture partnerships, and white label partnerships. These are typically going to be with people who have services adjacent to yours, meaning that they have the same ICP as you, but they offer a service that isn't in contention with yours. So if I offer landing pages to e-commerce brands, then an adjacent service to that would be an Amazon agency who also services e-commerce brands, or a paid ads agency who services e-com brands, right? You get the gist. And then lastly is paid ads. So these could be Facebook ads, Google ads, YouTube ads, LinkedIn ads. And there are multiple funnels that you can run, but the most common ones are a group funnel, a newsletter funnel, a VSL funnel, and a challenge funnel, right? These are four that you can run. I went over these in my last video. So if you want more context, then feel free to watch that one. So you need all four of these systems, right? These systems are multiplicative and not additive. They all work together, so having one compounds over the other, right? So it's 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which is equal to 16, as opposed to 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, which is 4, right? Paid ads get cheaper once you have content because now the cost per click and the cost per conversion goes down because people recognize you. Cold emails get 5 to 10x response rates because they've watched your YouTube videos, or they've seen your LinkedIn posts, or they've seen your paid ads before, or they've heard about you from one of the agencies that they work with. Partnerships close faster because you have social proof, you have content, you have visibility. So they've seen your cold emails, they've seen your paid ads on Instagram, YouTube, wherever it is that they hang out, even on Reddit, and they've seen your content all over those platforms. And lastly, content grows faster. If you drive traffic to the content using these ads, then more people see it, more people trust you. Cold emails, same thing, right? A cold email to someone who's never heard of you might get a 1% response rate, but a cold email to someone who's seen your ad, watched your YouTube video, and follows you on LinkedIn has a 10 to 15% response rate on average, right? So these things work multiplicatively. So here's something that you can do in the next 30 days is for content, start doing a YouTube video, long form YouTube video, much like this one, actually, one per week. It can be technical, valuable. It can be a case study. It can be a client interview, whatever it is. You can then repurpose these YouTube videos into LinkedIn posts, Twitter threads, shorts, and a newsletter, right? For outreach, you can do 60 minutes manually per day on LinkedIn. Just go, I'll give you an example as well. Go and find a competitor of yours and go through your connections, filter them based off of the location that you want your clients to be in. So if your ideal client is in the US, filter by that location and filter by how long it's been since they've posted. So 90 days since they've been posted, so you know that they're active, and then send them a connection request. They respond or they accept that connection request and start having a conversation with them. Don't pitch them immediately, just start a conversation with them. Similarly, with cold email, you can get Smart Lead. This is an automation software for cold email. Again, I'll leave the link to that in the description so you can go ahead and grab it and start sending cold emails today. And yeah, use the same methods in order to develop your partnerships. Get 20 agencies or businesses with adjacent services, like what I mentioned earlier, and just start working on getting partnerships with them, right? Speak to them like a human being. Don't pitch them right off the bat. Make sure that you guys have something in common initially. And remember to always harp on what type of value this will bring for them, right? Lead with your results as well. They won't want to form partnerships with people with subpar results. And then paid ads, this is something that I'd only do once I get to at least, if you're at 20K a month and you have the budget to start spending on paid ads, then I would start with at least anywhere between 5 to about 3K a month. You can even send them to just lead magnets, right? If you're going to be doing it to lead magnets, make sure that the only form field that is required is for your email, nothing else, right? The more form fields that you have, the higher the costs are going to be, right? So do all 4 at once, even if you're, bad at 3 of them. The compounding effect, makes each one better. Yep. So eventually, once you do this right, you'll have predictable, scalable lead flow, and you'll have higher close rates as a result as well. Because the more people that see you, the more people that are going to trust you, and the higher the likelihood that they'll want to work with you. So with one of my clients, the Amazon agency that I was CMO of, they were getting anywhere between 3 to 5 calls a month, and those calls weren't always qualified, and they all came from retainers or referrals, I should say. Eventually, just from LinkedIn, we were booking over 30 calls a month. That was just from LinkedIn, no other source. That doesn't include the ones we were getting from Twitter, from YouTube, from our newsletter, from our ads when we ran ads briefly. So yeah, this happened in less than a year, and I would highly recommend taking these action steps. Mistake number 3 is no lead magnets or weak nurture, right? So with lead magnets, the issue with this is, while I wouldn't say, hey, you need to give everything away for free, like some people would, there are others, or there are prospects that just, again, it's a matter of trust. If you don't even look like or sound like you know what you're talking about, then there's no way they're going to trust you to manage their business, right? The real cost of this, and this is something that I had learned from Matthew Larson listening to him, was the cost of you not doing something right for somebody isn't just necessarily the money that they're paying you, but it's also the impact that it will have on your business. If, for example, you're a paid ads agency and you make a worse ad than what's currently being run for them, they've not only lost the money that they've paid you to run the ad, but they would have lost the money that they would have made had they continued, running the original ad, right? That's all it comes down to. So the risk to them is significantly higher than it is to you. So they need proof in some way, shape, or form that you know what you're talking about and that you're the right person for the job. And that's the purpose of lead magnets, right? So the common mistakes is that they're just generic PDFs that you could just generate with AI, right? There's no free value. So there's no exchange for contact info, right? You just ask for their contact info and they get nothing in return. I'm hoping that people don't do that nowadays, but yeah. There's no email nurture. So after they opt in, they completely forget who you are, right? You just get their email address and that's it. There's no newsletters, there's no email flows, and they will eventually just be dead on your email list, right? Purgatory is what I like to call it. And then your sales calls start at 0 trust because you're a stranger that's asking for 10K, right? Can you imagine just getting on a sales call with somebody that you've never heard of before? You don't know what exactly it is they're about and if they're even qualified to help you, and then they just ask you for 10K. That probably won't go well, right? Why would someone book a call with you if they have no idea if you're any good? You're asking them to take a leap of faith with virtually no proof. That's the issue, right? So you have low opt-in rates because there's no compelling reason to give you their email. I see these pop-ups as well. People still run, non-ecom brands still run pop-ups for their for email, right? For their email information with low opt-in rates. It's because they don't trust you and there's no reason for them to give you, right? The lead magnet isn't compelling enough, is essentially what I'm saying. You have low show rates and you have low close rates because these, again, people don't trust you and you haven't given them a reason to trust you, and you have no flows, right? No email flows. You can't demonstrate expertise before asking for money, which is the point of lead magnets, right? Competitors with better lead magnets capture your traffic and convert them, and every sales call starts from scratch, exhausting and inefficient because you don't have any lead magnets, right? Sound like a broken record now. So if your landing page converts at 3% instead of 15%, you need 5 times more traffic to get the same results. And that's 5 times more ad spend or 5 times more content. So even when you're running paid ads, there's you could run the best ads possible, but if your landing page is not good, like it sucks, then you're just going to be spending more money for less, right? There are other levers that you can pull to get better results. So you just need complete solution lead magnets using the formula, the VAS formula. So it needs to be valuable, it needs to be actionable, and it needs to be signature, right? You must help them solve a real problem. It can't just be tips, and it should be worth paying for. Send this to your friend or send your lead magnet to your friend and ask them if they'd pay money for something like this. If the answer is no, then your lead magnet needs work. They can implement it within 24 hours is the number one thing for an actionable lead magnet. So after taking all of what I've said in this video, you should be able to go back, apply this to your business within 24 hours. And you definitely can. You can start to work on your content. You can start building out your offers and you can start writing better lead magnets, right? That's the whole point of a video like this. And it needs to include templates, frameworks, checklists, or screenshots, right? Lastly, signature your unique approach or methodology. It can't just be regurgitated GPT content. And it has to include your face and voice so that people would be able to associate this with you. If someone downloads your lead magnet and can't solve the problem without you, then it's likely not good enough either, right? So prove me right, guys, and please apply these things yourselves. Now, break your service into 6 to 9 subcategories if you want to know what exactly your lead magnet should cover. So for a landing page agency, you want to do site speed optimization, copywriting frameworks, offer creation, social proof strategies, hero image selection, A/B testing playbooks, conversion rate. You get the point, right? And then create one complete solution lead magnet for each. So each should be about 30 to 60 plus pages. I remember doing a lead magnet that was over 100 pages long in order to solve an issue. And it needs to be step by step and it needs to be a complete solution. So people should be able to solve whatever issue that they have completely after getting one of your lead magnets. And then you need to promote all of them. So different prospects have different problems. If you only promote something like site speed, you miss everyone who already knows site speed. Or let's say you're an email marketing agency. If you only promote, let's say you only promote deal calendars, your deal calendar lead magnet, then they won't know how to do copywriting, right? Or they won't know how to increase open rates, right? That's another one. So it needs to be a complete solution. So this is a type of way we built 7 to 8 lead magnets for the Amazon agency that I worked with. We filmed an entire $797 course with scores of videos, hour-long videos, and we turned each module into a standalone lead magnet. So we knew that people were already paying for this. So by turning it into a lead magnet, we already solved the issue of, is it valuable enough? It had a lot of actionable content as well because it was made specifically for a course. And it was signature because, of course, the founder was the one who filmed it, right? And this was insane value to get upfront. For our promotion strategy, we'd have separate landing pages for each lead magnets initially. And then after a while, we'd combine the lead magnets and then package it as one thing, right? We also ran ads to some of these. Of course, some topics would perform better than others, which is what we figured out. And we, of course, embedded affiliate links to get some passive income. And we rotated through all of our content channels. We had LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We had our newsletter, everything, right? We were able to do upwards of 6K email subscribers just from our lead magnets and some of our campaigns. But actual number is probably somewhere close to 10 or 11K just from our email list there or on our email list. The stuff that we did in order to increase our open rates and make sure that people remembered us was we would deliver the initial lead magnet and then we'd make an email on who we are and why we do it, what exactly it is that we do and how we do it, which includes the next steps. And we would send all of these, not by days actually, but we do it in hours, right? So this would all happen within 24 hours. Our lead magnet open rates were upwards of 70%, especially depending on which lead magnet, right? So that's pretty standard. If it's not, then that means you need to do some work. So we had high opt-in rates, we had high trust, and we had high opens, right? So prospects arrive on calls pre-sold and educated, especially warm prospects, right? Those who come from social media. We would already have, they would already get our lead magnets from us and they would be primed and ready to buy because they trusted us. They've already consumed hours of our content, right? In the form of written content or a video content. And we're also able to demonstrate expertise before asking for money, which is the whole point of the lead magnet. And so sales calls became significantly easier. You can see the math here. We drew 1,000, or if you drive 1,000 visitors per month, you have 3% opt-ins, you get 30 leads. But with a 15% opt-in, you have 150 leads. That's 5 times more leads from the same traffic. I keep putting up the number 4 for some reason. So 70% email open rates on our pre-call flows is a huge one as well. And so prospects showed up to calls already convinced. All right. State number 4 is no conversion mechanisms to qualify and warm prospects. So people typically just do, their funnel looks very one-dimensional. So they have the traffic, and then they get a book a call button, or the traffic gets sent to their landing page, it's a book a call button, you get the calendar, and then they have the sales call. But there's nothing in between that. And going back to the example with lead magnets, there's no reason to trust them and no reason to take them seriously because they have never seen work from you before outside of maybe your content, right? Or your ads. So there's no intermediate step to qualify or warm prospects, which again is one of the 4 main issues that we spoke about initially. There's no way to collect data, so we don't know their revenue, we don't know their business model, we don't know how ready they are, we don't know any of their pain points. There's no trust building before the call, which would be the purpose of something like a lead magnet. There's no filter for unqualified leads. So you waste time on calls with tire kickers, broke prospects, or people who aren't ready. Your show rate is 40 to 50%, and your close rate is 5 to 10%. Very, very subpar figures. We want to be shooting for at least a 70% show rate and at least a 20 to 25% close rate. 30% for the goats, right? So unqualified calls waste founders' time, especially if it's founder-led sales. Low show rates means that you'll have less chances to close calls. Low close rates means that you'll have less clients per month. And there's no data to route prospects. So you don't know whether they qualify for this service versus another service. And essentially you just can't scale, right? That's not a scalable business. You have a 30 to 50% show rate or a 5 to 10% close rate. That's not the best type of business to be in, right? If you take 20 sales calls per week and only close 2, you wasted potentially 18 hours. At $500 per hour with founders' time, that's about 9K a week in wasted time. So the math even checks out, right? Or wasting time. So the fix is that we need conversion mechanisms. Now, you need to build these systems to qualify warm and raw prospects. Now, there are 8 types of conversion mechanisms that you can have. You don't necessarily need all 8 of them, but the more you have, the better it is. So that's that multiplicative effect, much like with our traffic systems. So you can have a community, you can have your newsletter. Newsletter should be non-negotiable, by the way. Your VSL, also non-negotiable, but you can also run a webinar-esque thing as well. Live workshops, your appointment setters, your long-form YouTube content, much like this, your pre-call or your email flows, your thank you page, right? Having all 8 of these will make the process of qualifying and educating prospects hundreds of times easier, order of magnitude easier than if you were to have 0 of them. So all of these are meant to collect more information about your prospect so you can qualify them more easily and then determine which offer they are more qualified for or they're meant for, right? So even if just today there's one thing that you take away from conversion mechanisms, you should have your newsletter already set up, you should have a VSL already set up, you should have your pre-call flows or your email flows and then your thank you page set up, and then you should start posting long-form YouTube content. Because most of these can be done immediately because you already have the infrastructure for them, right? These are super important, and I just give you a bit of time to read these over. Again, if you want this document, then you can get it in the description below. I'll make sure to link that there. Right. So an example of this is the community, right? So we had a community for our Amazon client as well. We had over 3K members in that community. It's like 2.5 to 3K members. And we were asking stuff like, what's your annual revenue? Do you have an e-commerce brand or Amazon brand? And what's your phone number? You can only ask about 3 questions on school, but the last one we'd ask is probably about their biggest challenge or pain point, right? Same thing. And once we got this data, let's say we got their annual revenue, then we tag them in our CRM, and then our appointment setter would reach out to them with an offer that we have, right? Same thing for if they're an e-com brand or an Amazon brand. So no, but I'm planning to start, or no, I'm an agency or service provider. And based off of those answers, we tag them accordingly and we know what to potentially sell them, right? It's the beauty of it. So as I mentioned earlier, we would have different different end goals depending on what their logic was or their answers were. Right. So 79-figure e-commerce brand, we set the call immediately. We push for our one-time service or a done for you call, depending on how much information or content this client has already consumed of us. Right. So 6-figure or no brand yet, then email sequence to course or program. No e-com brand, then we monetize via affiliates, paid product, or we refer to a partner agency. Or lastly, if it's an agency or service provider, then we have a different nurture sequence, and then it's a potential partnership discussion, right? All works together. So you're not wasting any time on unqualified calls once you've got this done, and you know exactly who they are before you ever talk to them. So we were able to grow this community from about we started at 0 to about 2,500 members. Somewhere north of that, actually. Probably was more, but yeah. With a clean, qualified pipeline. So we also had our 18-step pre-call flows. So there would be one email over 4 hours, one email every 4 hours for over 3 days, right? So we had open rate. I actually have an open rate of 100% right now on my pre-call flows. So this is just because they booked. They're super hot leads. So you want to make sure that they're getting those. And it handles objections and builds trust. It sets expectations so they show up pre-sold. So these calls were significantly easier to take and close because of these systems that we already had in place. So we had social proof emails, we had process overview emails, objection handling, founder story, and preparation emails, right? And if you can include a PS in every email with a soft CTA to a case study or to join a community or to show up to the next webinar, there are multiple things that you can do. So you had the outcome of this was a more qualified pipeline, higher show and close rates, and then of course, an easier time scaling the agency, right? So before, 20 sales calls per week, 50% show rate, 10 actual clients or calls, and one client because you had a 20% close rate. And after implementing these things, you'll have 30 sales calls a week, 75% show rate, which is 22 calls, and then 30% close rate, which would result in 6 to 7 clients. So you can go from 3 calls per month to 30 calls plus per month, and our close rate will jump from 10% to about 30 to 35%. So just through better systems, not more traffic, you'd be able to achieve greater statistics, right? Or greater outcomes. And then lastly, it's just fixing your landing page, right? So the last funnel mistake that you can make is having a bad landing page and a broken CRM, right? So common landing page mistakes can result in, vague value propositions. There's no social proof. There's no VSL, which, as I said, is non-negotiable. You have generic stock photos, or you have just weak CTAs. Same thing with CRM. Like you have full of dead leads. There are no automations. There's no follow-up system, no attribution, no pipeline stages, and you're just using the wrong CRM for the job. Not necessarily there's a bad one, but there are some that are just better than others depending on the context. So you're converting at 2 to 5% when you could be converting at 15 to 25%. And you're not following up with 80% of your leads. Oh, this is a huge issue at Amazon agency, right? So you have low landing page conversion rates, you have wasted traffic, you have dead leads that never get followed up, you have no data to optimize your current flows, messaging, etc. You can't scale paid ads profitably, and your founder has to manually follow up, which is not scalable. So in reality, if you drive 1,000 visitors per month and you have a 3% conversion, which is 30 leads, versus a 15% conversion at 150 leads, then that's 120 extra leads per month from the same traffic if you work on your conversion rates, right? So the only thing is when you have your landing page in mind, have a clear value proposition above the fold. You have a VSL or hero video on the page as well. That's typically in the hero section. You have your client interviews. You can't fake these because the client is going to be on the call with you, which means that they are more likely to trust you, those who are watching those videos. So just get onto a call with them. You have proof docs. So you have case studies, you have screenshots, you have logos. You have an FAQ section, which handles objections up front. You have an outcomes roadmap, which is a step-by-step process on how exactly your service works. You have a strong CTA, which could be book a strategy call, book a discovery call, learn more, apply now, etc. And you have a thank you page, which is basically just after an opt-in, check your email. They're sent to a community. They're sent to sign up for your newsletter, whatever it may be. And this will already result in higher conversion rates for your business. 100%. So just recapping these 5 funnel leaks here. So you have a single offer. The fix for this is to build a 6 offer suite so you can monetize every prospect tier. 2, you have 1 traffic source. So you deploy all 4 traffic systems, which are going to be multiplicative and not additive. You have no lead magnets, and the solution, build complete solution lead magnets and 4-step email flows and nurture so that they'd be able to not only figure out what exactly they need to do through your lead magnets, but they become more trusting of you and your services. You have no conversion mechanisms. So the fix to this is to build 8 mechanisms to qualify and warm those prospects. It doesn't have to be all 8, but the most common ones typically tend to be the community, the newsletter, the VSL, and having an appointment setter, or just creating long form YouTube videos like these. And lastly, you have a leaky landing page on CRM. So you optimize your landing page with proof and you rebuild your CRM with automations and attribution. Now, I'll probably go over the CRM in another video. It can be an entire video by itself. So look out for that. Let me know if you want to see a video like that. And if you fix even one of these, you'll see results. If you fix all 5, you'll transform your entire funnel. Now, I hope you found this video valuable. If you want to see more like this, just leave a like, comment what you want to see next, and subscribe in order to be notified when I post next. You can look forward to videos like these every Wednesday at the same time. And I'm so happy that you're here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.